Hi, Randy the Mobile Home Guy here again today. Today we're going to talk a little bit about push fittings. A lot of people know them as Sharkbite fittings. Really they're just a push type fitting, where meaning you just insert the pipe, push it in, and what you're doing is you're pushing it past a few seals and past some teeth that are grabbing it on and not letting it pull out. So we're going to talk a little bit about those and how those things work. Okay, here we have a haft fitting, a push fitting. It's a coupler, so it has a pipe that you can insert from either side. And right in the middle there we have a stop or a seat, so you can't push the pipe all the way through into the other side. So this is where we'd of course want to push the tube all the way into, and that would stop right there. Here we have this little piece right here, which is actually a separate movable piece, and it actually designed really to push these teeth in there to release the pipe and to be able to pull it out. So this is a little wedge that you can push in and push down on these teeth to pull that fitting out. There of course is the teeth that hold it in, and then right here we have a little seal or a gasket that keeps the fitting from leaking. So of course you push the pipe all the way into the seat, and it past the seal, past the teeth, and then if you wanted to remove that, you'd push that down, of course, and that would release the teeth. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit farther on how these things work. We're going to look at this this fitting here. Of course, that would be the fitting wall, and then the pipe gets inserted into that and pushed past the seal and the tooth and the wedge, of course, all the way down to the seat here. And inside of that pipe, as you push it in there, it's going to have a pipe stiffener or a pipe liner. Those things, the original name I think was pipe stiffener. I like to think of them that way, because it stiffens up the wall of that pipe and pushes it up against the teeth and against the seal and keeps that from collapsing on the inside. So you need that insert to hold it up tight there. Theory being that it might kind of sag and let that tooth loose as time goes by. So you need one that's no gap there. You need it stiffen up in there. And we're talking today about mobile home plumbing, because this is a mobile home video really. So we want to talk a little bit about the difference in those fittings, because you'll say, we'll get questions about, is that a different type of fitting for a polybutylene fitting? They do have them. They'll have a little gray piece on there, so we'll need to look at a little bit of that here in a few minutes. But the real difference is the pipe stiffener inside of the fitting. So if we look at this is PEX tubing here. The wall thickness is a lot thicker nowadays on the piping that they have, so the pipe stiffener here is a little smaller. Poly, of course, was a lot thinner walled, so they had a bigger stiffener in those poly fittings. So that's really the big difference. And so we'll look at pipe stiffeners next. Okay, now we're going to look at the inserts for the polybutylene and the PEX tubing. And of course the insert that we're talking about is that little white thing there that floats around inside of these fittings, and as you push the pipe in there, it actually just kind of inserts right into the pipe. And if we were to look at all these fittings they have, except for the ones specifically marked poly, we have these little inserts in there, and we can see that they don't really work for the polybutylene because there's a lot of movement in there. There's a ton of play in there, and there's not really. That's designed to stiffen up that wall of the PEX tubing. So what we really are looking for is a fitting that says poly, because it has an insert that has the wall just really thick, for just designed for polybutylene. And of course that's thicker, so it wouldn't fit into the PEX there, of course. So I might get a little hate for this, but the real thing that you can do is to find these, which we'll give you a part number for these. This is the 1/2 inch one here, and there is a 3/4 inch one that actually you can just pull your old inserts out, insert these inserts, and now that fitting would be designed for poly. Okay, here's a couple of different bags here that I bought the polybutylene tube liners out of them, and we can see the part number. So it's a Watts insert. Watts have fittings. They have a lot of plastic fittings, but the insert they have is this one here is designed for poly for 1/2 inch, and the part number being PB12 kit, and that's polybutylene 1/2 inch, and then also PB34 kit, which is polybutylene 3/4 fitting. So those would be the insert or the liners for those push fittings. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about how to get the pipe out of the fitting. So we've probably all seen these little tools here that we can just pop right on the pipe. Make sure that this little part is down towards the fitting, so we can see that we'll push it just right on there, down, and then push it in and pull the pipe out. And what we're really doing at this point is just pushing this rim down, which of course is that wedge which releases the teeth in there. So we'll try something different. So if we don't have this tool, they sell this tool of course, but if you don't have it, you've lost it, which I always do because they're kind of small. There's different ways I've tried to do it and it works out great. So really I don't carry those tools anymore because you can use really just a crescent wrench. And what we're doing, what I'll do is I'll put the crescent wrench on there and I will tighten it all the way, and it's really all the way seated on there. Okay, and I'll tighten it and then I'll push that here and I'll push that fitting, and then of course it comes out because again all we're doing is just trying to push those down. So that kind of works in there. I've used all types of different things such as wrenches or pliers or those things, just as long as we can get it real tight and pull that, push that little insert in there, little wedge in there, and release the teeth, the pipe comes right out. One of the other tools I suggest that we might consider is this depth safe guide. This tells us just how far in that seat is in that particular type of fitting. So these push fittings, you want to get that of course all the way down into the seat, because if you get it halfway and it starts to lean a little bit in that fitting, that could cause a leak. So this is a really great tool to tell us have we gotten that pipe into the insert all the way, because you know you're working overhead or down below or something. It's kind of hard to try and maybe make sure like you think you got it in but maybe you didn't. So to do away with that worry, this little tool is great. So all you do is you find where you're at. I'm a ½ inch. This is a ½ inch insert here, so we just put it all the way in there and then we just mark it. Just mark the fitting there, pull it out, and then we know that that's the depth of our fitting. So when we insert it, and if we haven't gotten all the way to this line, we want to release that, pull that back out, get it in straight, and push it all the way up into that line, and that'll tell us that that is seated properly. You don't need the tool there. What I have used is I've also grabbed a crescent wrench. I'll put it onto the pipe and I will tighten it up here, pushing it all the way on, and then I'll push it down, and same thing, the pipe. Okay, take two.